Shabbat Shalom. In synagogue this week we'll see something really extraordinary. When we take the Torah out of the Ark for the Torah reading, we'll take not one, not two, but three separate Torah scrolls out of the Ark. One Torah scroll will be for Parshat Tazria, the regular Torah portion of the week. The second Torah scroll will be for Rosh Chodesh, for the month of Nisan, which the first day of the month of Nisan is on Shabbat. And the third Torah scroll will be for what's known as Shabbat Hachodesh, the annual Shabbat that's dedicated to celebrating that moment in which the children of Israel were given control over our own calendar as an expression of freedom, of going from slavery to liberty, to redemption, and given the control over our own calendar, and that's Parshat Hachodesh. So there are three different portions that'll be read on this coming Shabbat. I heard a story about a young boy who was preparing to celebrate his bar mitzvah on this Shabbat, on Parshat Tazria. And the child had difficulties in school, and the family sat down and wanted to prepare to have the best possible bar mitzvah and have the child achieve the maximum in terms of academic potential. And they decided to begin his studies years in advance. 2-3 years in advance he was going to start studying for his bar mitzvah. And sure enough, he's making progress, and he's almost there, and he learns his Haftorah, the Haftorah for Parshat Tazria, for this week's portion. And then just a week or two before the Torah portion, the father of the bar mitzvah was talking to one of his friends, and he said, "Yeah, my son's been studying for years, and he's got it down. We're so proud of him." And the friend said, "Oh, that's amazing. He's going to read the Haftorah from the book of Ezekiel, the Haftorah for Parshat HaChodesh." And the father, his heart almost stopped. He said, "Wait, there's a special Haftorah this week? My son's been studying the regular Haftorah for Parshat Tazria for 2-3 years, has been studying the wrong portion, forgetting that this is a special week, that there's a special reading for this week. What do you do?" So he decided, the story took place in Jerusalem, he decided to go consult a rabbi. And certainly in Jerusalem there's no shortage of rabbis to consult for a matter such as this. And they went to Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, to one of the great leaders of the last century, one of the great halachic minds. And they went to him and consulted, what should we do if my son has been studying the wrong Haftorah, the wrong portion for all of these years? And there's no possibility, no chance he could learn a new portion in just a few weeks. Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach consulted his resources, consulted his works, and finally came to the conclusion that the young boy could chant the Haftorah for Parshat Tazria because it's the normal Haftorah that in the majority of years is read on this particular Shabbat, and so he could indeed chant the Haftorah that he had studied and not the special Haftorah that we'll be chanting this coming week. And the father was elated. He related this information to his family. Everyone was so happy. And the morning of the bar mitzvah came, and as they approached the Torah reading, and as they're getting closer to the Haftorah, to this boy's big moment, who walks into the synagogue but Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach himself, to the great leader, to one of the greatest sages, not only in the city or in the country, but in the world, for the first time ever, walks into that synagogue where the bar mitzvah was taking place. And the father and the parents and the everyone was so honored, and they went up and they said, "To what do we owe the honor of your being here? It means so much to us." And Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach said, "I was thinking about the ruling that I gave you. And I realized that it might not be a popular ruling, or that people might think that they know better. And they would be chatting amongst themselves, 'Oh, the boy is reading the wrong portion. Oh, the boy doesn't know what he's doing. Oh, the family doesn't know what they're doing. The only reason that they're able to do this is because of X, Y, or Z, or because they influenced the rabbi. He would never do this for himself." And so the rabbi said, "So you know what? I decided to come to show them that if it's good enough for me to hear the wrong Haftorah, it should be good enough for them as well, and that the dignity of this boy, and that the hard work that he put in should be validated and should be celebrated." It's a beautiful story because we make mistakes sometimes. because there are moments in which someone studies for the wrong thing or prepares the wrong thing, and here we are making the most of it. But to me, the great value and the great lesson of that story is the lesson of time, is that the rabbi took the time to be there. That's the greatest gift that we can give, as it's been taught, that time is a resource that we only have a limited amount of. That when it comes to giving away other gifts, when it comes to a gift of money, for example, well, more money can and probably will be made. It'll be replenished. But when it comes to the gift of time, we have no more or no less than God gives us. And so when we make the time for someone else, when we go out of our way for someone else, that's the greatest gift that one can give. On this Parshat Hachodesh, we're reminded of the time in which God gave the children of Israel the calendar, and gave the children of Israel and gave the Jewish people a sense of control and ownership over our time. And it's not only for the calendar, but it's for every moment that we have this gift and this ability to make the most of our time. And so on this Shabbat, I invite you, as I'll do my best to do as well, to think of how we use our time, and think of ways in which we can use our time better. Time has this sneaky way of slipping away from us. I didn't realize that I had spent so much time just scrolling. I didn't realize that so much time had passed and I was doing nothing. I didn't realize that the day passed me by and I didn't have a chance to make that phone call that I needed to make, or reach out to that person, or comfort that person, or bring that person joy, or whatever it is. Our time can always be used in an effective, efficient, and meaningful way. And so this gift of time is the gift that Shabbat gives to us, and this Shabbat in particular. A chance to shut everything else out and to say, okay, now here are 25 hours of time. How am I going to use each of these hours? How am I going to use each of these minutes? How am I going to make my time work in the best way possible to make my life and to make the lives of those around us, to make them better? And so I offer this blessing on this Shabbat Hachodesh, that with the renewal of the new month and with our rededication to the values of our tradition, to the values of freedom, to the values of community, that our time can be the greatest blessing and can be the greatest gift that we can give to ourselves and to each other. Shabbat Shalom.
We try to infuse Shabbat with joy and gladness, and one of the ways that we do this is by adding songs throughout Shabbat, not only at the services, at the tefillot, but also around our Shabbat table, both on Friday evening and Shabbat morning, and as well at Seudah Shlishit. I want to share the following song with you, but this week I share it with you with a broken heart, as this has been the deadliest week in Israel in some 16 years, nearly 2 decades. The following song, Zemer Tzur Mishalo, is sung throughout Shabbat. It is not relegated just to a particular meal, but it is sung throughout Shabbat, regardless of which meal you want to share the song, or perhaps in all of them. And the reason why is because this song alludes to Birkat Hamazon. It is normally sung right before we chant the grace after meals, because the paragraphs in this song alludes to the various blessings in Birkat Hamazon. The authorship of the song is unknown, and attempts have been made to locate the earliest manuscripts or sidurim or birchonim in which this song appears. But to date, the author remains elusive. Tzur mi shelo hachalanu barechu emunai savanu ve'otarnu כי דבר השם שבענו והותרנו, כי דבר השם הזן את עולמו, רואינו אבינו, אכלנו את לחמו, ויינו שתינו, על כן נודה לשמו, ונהללו בפינו, אמרנו וענינו, אין קדוש כשם. בשיר וקול תודה נברך לאלוהינו על ארץ חמדה טובה שהנחיל לאבותינו, מזון וציידה השביע לנפשנו, חסדו גבר עלינו, אמת השם. רחם בחסדך על עמך צורנו, על ציון משכן כבודך, זבול בית תפארתנו. בן דוד עבדך יבוא ויגאלנו, רוח אפינו משיח השם. ייבנה המקדש, עיר ציון תמלא, ושם נשיר שיר חדש, ובירנה נעלה. הרחמן הנקדש יתברך ויתעלה, על כוס יין מלא כברכת השם. צור משלו אכלנו, ברך ואמוני, שבענו והותרנו, כי דבר השם שבענו והותרנו, כי דבר Hashem. We hope and pray that the following week brings a week of rest, brings a week of peace to Israel, to the entire world. Let us say Amen. I wish you all Shabbat Shalom.